Now, I will say that we are kind of going more so back to the basics, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So this is going to be a refresher, and I feel like we've been talking about refreshers for everybody who has been with us or maybe is more advanced in the cricketing world. But it's good to have a refresher, especially like at the beginning of the year.
Yes.
Let's get a good refresher. Let's start off new. We will probably have some hacks that we throw in there that you all may or may not know.
For sure.
And especially for our friends who are new, who have just joined us, who is getting started on their Cricut journey, their crafting journey, DIY, whatever you want to call it. We're excited to teach you guys exactly how to use Design Space, what the do's and don'ts are, what our little tricks and tips are.
It's always interesting to me to like watch, even if you're like, hey, come look at this for a second, and like you're doing something that I would also do, but like in a different way.
Yes.
So it's really fun, I think, for people to see other people in Design Space, because like we're all using it, but we're using it in different ways, and I think it's good to pick up little tidbits.
Oh,
like from
I love
everybody.
it.
Fun.
Brand suggestions for reverse tweezers. I think there's a pair up there.
Let me go. I'm going to
Alicia
go ahead
can
and
go ahead and go to
over.
the table.
Yeah. Let's see. We've got, these are not Cricut brand. Can y'all see these?
No, but I don't remember where they come from, but those are the ones we normally use.
Yeah, these are good. There's no brand on them, but these are really good. Honestly, y'all, I don't know. Like, it's kind of something, reverse tweezers, like they're all going to be very similar in their like action. I don't feel like there's going to be a better or worse quality. These are metal, if that helps you. So we prefer the metal. Oh, here's some. These are good too. There's no brand on these though. Oh wait, yes there is. EK Tools. Ooh, these feel good and they have a grip.
Yeah.
So EK Tools, that's something that you could use. But if y'all are like, okay, like let's get into it. We have a video today and we're gonna be going over Design Space. So in 2023, this is the year if you have a Cricut and you're like, I haven't opened it, or you just opened it with us, like at our New Year's event or at boot camp a few weeks ago, we want you all to get in Design Space and feel comfortable using Design Space with your Cricut, because I feel like there's like two mountains to conquer. There's Cricut mastery and Design Space mastery. And Design Space is like a huge chunk of using, it's obviously, you've got to use it to use your Cricut, but there's so many functions in Design Space that you all may not already know about. So I'm literally just going to walk you all through all of the little spaces that we use all the time and the things that are really going to make you be the best crafter that you can be. So let's go ahead and go to the share screen. I've already got Design Space open. So whenever you open up Design Space, it's just going to look like a blank canvas. And I feel like if this is brand new to you, it can be very overwhelming because there are lots of like things, there's lots of, actually, you know what, let's go to the home page, because really this is what it's going to look like whenever you first open Design Space.
Also, this information that we're giving you all today is going to be useful no matter what Cricut machine you have. We're really just talking about the Design Space functionalities for your machine.
Right.
Not any specific machine. So you're still going to use Design Space if you have a Joy. You're still going to use Design Space if you have the first generation Cricut Maker. You're still going to use Design Space if you use the Cricut Explorer. The only time you wouldn't use Design Space is if you have like a Cricut Expressions, which is the one that has the cartridges in it.
Yeah. So when you get in Design Space, you can obviously see there's like lots of things happening here. Now, if you're an MGL member, we don't really utilize this stuff down here other than for inspiration. Like sometimes I'll get some inspiration from this area for future projects, or if I'm looking for Valentine's projects, they've usually got them like up to date according to the season or the holiday. But what I typically do when I first open Design Space is I will come up to these three bars over here and I'll go straight into my canvas. So whenever you select canvas, this is going to pull up this blank screen right here, and this is basically where you start. Now, before we jump in all the way in to using these design features, there's a few other things on this left side that I want to show you all before we like dive into using the design functions. There are things like new product setup. If it's your first time in Design Space, you're going to be going here. If you ever need to calibrate your machine, you can go here. Should we do a calibration, or let me just open it and show you all? So
that might be something we need to wait until like closer to the end, but not miss out on it.
Right, yeah, I do want to show you all how to do it. So machine calibration, this is just where you make sure that your blade is lined up correctly for your print and cuts. So we'll do that later on. Manage custom materials. Now this is what Lauren was talking about with the tech wrap. So whenever you buy material and you're like, it's not cutting the way it should be, I need to adjust my materials, you're gonna go to these 3 lines and go to manage custom materials. So if you need to update your firmware, like if you're having issues with it cutting or any weird thing, and it'll usually prompt you, it'll say update firmware, or you can come here to update that. There's account details, link cartridges. I looked at this earlier and I was not, have you ever used that function before? I've not used it for anything. I feel like it's probably like a troubleshooting link. And then you've got a couple other random things. Like I feel like this is just stuff they have to put in there. So that's everything in that left side panel. And like I said earlier, we're gonna calibrate here in just a little bit. But once you get onto your blank canvas, we're gonna start, and like if you wanted to do a new project, you're just gonna come up here and you can replace or save your previous project. And then let's just start by working our way down this left side. So
let me interject really quick right here, because we've already had somebody ask about iPad, and we actually got a question about this morning.
Earlier, yeah.
So just because iPad and a desktop, they're gonna look different. They're gonna have pretty much the same functionalities. It might be easier to use one or the other for different things, but they're gonna look different, but pretty much have the same, like I said, have the same functionalities. The biggest difference is with your iPad, what you see on the screen right now, which is on the left side of the screen. This is your taskbar. That's going to be across the bottom if you are using an iPad.
Yeah.
Okay?
So, but the functions are pretty much the same. I think there's a couple things that the iPad can't do as easily or at all as the computer, but you can pretty much do everything with an iPad that you can with a computer.
Right.
So over here on the left, we've got a templates button. This is really good if you're designing t-shirts, or if you want to get a good visual for something you're making. Like if you were wanting to put a name on a camping chair, you can actually pull in these images, and then you can add the text on here to like see what it's gonna look like before you make it. So I really, really love that. And then the next tab is the projects tab. Now, when you first click it, it's gonna pull up Cricut projects, and it looks like these are like Christmas and New Year's cards. If you wanna just see your projects, you can go to this drop-down menu and select My Projects, and you'll see like all of ours. I think I always save mine under Alicia's projects. Do you save yours in a folder?
Mm-hmm.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's taking a second to load, but you can see here, you can go to like your bookmarked projects. Like if you see a project you want to use and you want to bookmark it, I'll show you all how you can do that. And there's lots of options down here. So here you can see these are our projects. So this is stuff that we've made and saved in Design Space, and I'm sure y'all can recognize some of these. So this is really nice because like if I want to pull up this image right here, I can just click on it and then I can hit customize, and it's going to pull it up onto our page. So that's pretty handy, I think. And then from there, we're just going to keep working our way down. We've got the shapes panel, obviously. I love the shapes panel. We use basic shapes for so much of our stuff. We use it as a guideline. All you have to do is select your shape, and then they come in a bounding box. I'm going to delete this image so we've got free space. So they're going to come in a bounding box, and now y'all can resize these using this bounding box. And then if you want to kind of, instead of keeping it proportional like this, you can unlock it up here, and you're going to be able to like warp it around like this. I don't personally do that. I do not like to unlock my shapes. I like to keep everything proportional, so I try to not unlock everything. Does that make sense?
Right. And the basic shapes are really, really great when it comes to, I know Alicia showed us the templates portion over there on the left side, but not actually, you know what? I'm not even going to say 9 times out of 10. I'm going to say 10 times out of 10, I never use the templates.
Yeah.
Personally, never use the templates.
A lot of people don't.
What I do and what you all can do for our new Cricketers, go in there, or not go in there, take your blank that you're putting vinyl, HTV, whatever on, measure the area that you're working with, and then you can bring in a circle if you know you're working within a circle.
Right.
Bring in a square, a rectangle, whatever, and size it to what you just measured. That way you know that when you cut your vinyl or your material, it's going to fit within the guide that you made.
Yes.
For
And
that project.
I think that the templates are really good if you are doing, like if you're a t-shirt person and you're selling t-shirts and someone's like, I really want to see a mock-up. Like I want to see what it looks like before. You can design it and screenshot it and like send them the mock-up from Design Space, which I think is really cool. But honestly, like me and Lauren are just sitting in the craft room, like making things. 10 out of 10, I'm using basic shapes. So that's pretty handy having all those. And then if you have Cricut Access, there's quite a few other basic shapes right here. We are working on getting these for you all. So you're not going to need a Cricut Access. So keep an eye out for new, just basic shapes. I feel like that's going to be super handy for our members.
Yep. So Tracy asked, with the text, sometimes I resize the box, which she's talking about the bounding box, but it stays super large. Listen, the bounding box on those texts, like the new feature, for some reason, it just does that, especially if you have had your text and it stacks on top of each other, and then you slide those sidebars out to make it one long line. The upper portion and the lower portion of the bounding box does not like snap to the text.
Yeah.
You kind of have to move it in yourself, but really and truly the bounding box is not a huge deal where you place your stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I'll show you guys when we get down to the text. I'll show you what Lauren's talking about. If you're like, I don't know what that means, I'll show you in just a second. So there's our basic shapes, and then right underneath that you're going to have your images. So here you can search through Cricut Images. I mean, you can literally search whatever you want. I don't use these because I use Makers Gonna Learn files. I don't have a need to come to Cricut to get my images. But if you just
But you can go to your uploaded images from there.
You can go, you can just select uploaded here. You can also select free, like if you just want to use the free Cricut images. There's lots of filters over here. So you can see, they've even got like licensed content like Disney and stuff like that. But these are our uploaded images that we actually use from the Makers Gonna Learn website. So that's pretty cool. And you can search through those. Then after that, the text, this one, I use the text feature probably besides basic shapes. I use the text feature mostly. So whenever you hit this little text icon, it's going to pull in exactly like this. So it's already highlighted and you can just type in a word right away. And if I click off of it, it gives you this bounding box. Now this is what Lauren was talking about. So you can like adjust your bounding box using the north, south, east, and west. I don't use those really for much of anything. I typically just use my corners, my 4 corners to stretch my words.
The time when I use that, or the times that I use that the most is if I have a text, like if I have a line of text, like love is in the air, and then it's all one line.
Yes, here, I'll type it.
I decide that I want it to be stacked on top of each other.
Here, I'll show y'all what she's about to describe.
Then I'll take that east side of the bounding box and scoot it in, and then it kind of starts stacking it, and then it bounds it together. Right. But then if you take that east side and pull it back out, then all the way back out, what will happen is that bounding box stays large.
Oh, that's what you were saying.
Yes.
You wanted it to snap back.
I wanted it to snap back to the text, but it doesn't. But you can just push it up.
Yeah, I got you. So that's how you can kind of adjust your lines there. Now, if you do have a couple of lines and you want to kind of adjust where each line is, after you've shrunk your binding box down, you can come up to this advanced feature and ungroup to lines, and it'll actually create 2 separate lines for your text, which I really love this, especially when I'm designing, because like if I wanted to do, I'm just going to show you guys, if we did like a pink heart, so we'll go ahead and give ourselves a pink heart. I'm doing Valentine's, can you tell? Mm-hmm. You can do like a pink heart, and then I can bring these to the front, and you can put them like over top of things to make a really cute design. Like obviously this font is not cute and gorgeous, but you can see how you can use it to design what you want. And these are going to be able to move around. So that's pretty cool.
Go ahead.
I was going to say there's lots of different features in the text. I'm going to go ahead and just dive right into that because there's lots of things you can do with fonts and text and like resizing and changing the font and all that.
Yes. So Mel asked, if I open a template and I'm finished with it, how do I remove it from the screen once I'm done using it? Let's just say I change my mind and want to use a shape. Can you just delete it?
I have had issues deleting it, and I don't know, like normally I just go off of it and like don't save it. Does that sound bad? But like I said, I don't use this a whole lot. So let's just pull in this camping chair like we had earlier.
So does it pull up on the side over there?
So it even says right here, templates are for reference only and will not be saved with your project. So like whenever, let's just try it out. If we wanted to put this on here, I think you would have to save it. So let's save our project. It was saved as Caesar Brick 600 because that's what it was before. And then let's go to my stuff. I'm going to see if it pops back up. Okay. And then I'm going to go to customize. And I have a feeling
But what she's saying is she wanted it gone.
I don't think you
before.
can. Because I tried to delete it earlier and it wouldn't let me.
So you just save it and go back into it and it'll be gone.
Yeah, which is a flaw. I feel like you should be able to delete the template. It should be in the layers panel and you should be able to delete it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't move. So like when you pull the template in,
it doesn't move?
No, it's like there. Like it wasn't letting me move it around or anything.
Okay,
it doesn't even let me
this is why we
it.
don't use templates.
Yeah, it's a perfect example of why we don't. Because I mean, really what we would, in real life, if we were doing a camping chair, I would have a measuring tape out. I would measure where I want to put it, like width and height. And then I would plug a rectangle into Design Space, the exact width and height, and then I would design within that. Does that make sense? That would just be the easiest way. So now that we kind of have our text on here that we want, I'm not really digging this font. So let's change our font. So you can double click in the text box and then come up here to this drop down menu. And immediately I'm like, ugh, I can't see what I'm doing. So you all can take this text box and move it over. And you can see right here, we've already got this in the search bar, this Candid font in the search bar. I'm just going to delete that. And I'm in my system fonts. So your system fonts are going to be your downloaded fonts. Your Cricut fonts are going to be right here. But we typically use our system fonts, like 98% of the time I'm using a system font. These are the fonts I've downloaded from Maker's Gonna Learn. So we've got lots of options you can see here. I can choose one just right off the bat that I've already got downloaded, or we can pull one off of the website into Design Space. So let's go ahead and do that for all of our beginners. I want to show you all how to download a font from the website into Design Space. Okay, so once we're on the website, you can just select fonts. You're going to need to log in, all of that. You're going to select fonts. So I can go to our new fonts right here, which we just got some cute new fonts in. We just got some cute new ones. And then I can just download any of these. So let's download this Affection font. So I'm just going to click this little down arrow icon and it's going to pull into a zip folder. You can double click that. Sometimes it'll download and go up to the top right and you can find it up there, or you can go to your Finder and search for the name of the font. And then I'm going to double click on that. It's going to pull up this box right here and you're just going to select Install Font. And so now you can see it's in my font book and it's installed. Then we need to go back to Design Space. I'm going to save my project because we need to reload Design Space. So I'm going to go ahead and save my project and then go to View and Reload. And now our font should be in Design Space. So once this opens back up, we can actually see it in our drop-down menu. So I pulled that font in. So basically I just selected my font again and the title of the font was Affection. So you can search it up here by typing in the search bar. Oops, if I could spell it right. Affection. And then you'll just select it. Now I wanted to use this font for this reason. So a lot of times you'll download fonts, doesn't matter where you download them at, and they will pull into Design Space and they won't be evenly spaced out, like the letters won't be spaced out. You can see right here is a perfect example, and a couple of these are slightly overlapped too much. So a good thing in Design Space is under this advanced drop down menu, you can ungroup your lines to letters. So now all of these are individual letters, and I can space them out or group them closer together as much as I want. So I can just come in here and fix this. I'm just going to pull that down.
Ungrouping to lines and ungrouping to letters is one of my favorite font hacks. Absolute favorite font hacks.
I 100% agree.
Yes.
And so once I get it where I want it, I'm going to move this heart out of the way. And then I'm just going to click and drag. Oops, it's trying to grab my heart. I knew it was going to do that.
Yep.
So after I've typed, or after I've got my letters exactly where I want them, I'm going to come down here and put these letters back together again. I want them to be together again. So I'm going to go under this layers panel. I'm going to go to combine. I'm going to click that, and I'm going to have a bunch of options right here. I'm going to go ahead and unite those. And so now they're on their own little layer right here. So if I click this, these are all back together again. And so I can like resize them. They're on their own bounding box, which helps me whenever I'm designing because I can kind of move them around together rather than trying to move every single letter. So let me zoom back out. Okay, and that's called kerning. That's how you kern your letters. So if you hear, and you'll see it, especially if you're a new member, or if you are like, hi Tina, I just saw my name in the comments. If you are new to cricketing, you're going to start hearing a lot of lingo. Kerning is one of those. And kerning is just bringing your letters together or apart, like adjusting your letters so that they touch, basically. So let's see. So we went over our fonts. You can also see right here, sometimes there's like bold style. Typically, they're just regular. You can manually adjust your font size right here. We can also adjust our letter spacing manually without ungrouping to letters. So if you wanted to like bring your letters closer together like this, you can do it that way. If you want to space them out, you're just going to click this up arrow and they're going to space out. So you can do that. So you're going to be able to manipulate this to get exactly what you want, which is really cool. Mm-hmm. And then if you have multiple lines of text like we did earlier, I'm going to show you what happens whenever we use this line spacing function. So love is in the air. And like, obviously this is way too far away from each other. So right here with our line spacing, I can hit this down arrow and it's going to bring it closer. I can also just type in like a -4 and it's going to bring it a lot closer. And so you can adjust it until you get it exactly where you want. And I really, really love that. So those are some good features in Design Space that more complicated or like more complex design software does not offer always. Some of them do, but Cricut has made it very like streamlined for beginners, which is amazing. So let's keep working our way down. We have an alignment tool right here. So this is going to allow you to adjust your text to be left, center, right, top, center, bottom. And then if you select them, you can kind of see. It's hard when we don't have a whole lot of words.
I know.
I'm going to just make a few lines. We're just going to stay with our love is in the air. That way y'all can see me adjusting. So whenever I select this, now if you come up here, you just select center, it's going to center all of your text. We can adjust it to the right. You can do it to the top. That one you don't really notice. Let's see if I open my bounding box, if you can tell if it moves. Bottom, yeah, you can see there, which I don't use this feature a ton. I don't really, there's no need for me. But if you ever having issues with your like text not fitting correctly or something like that, you can totally do that. So love that feature. I'm going to center these back up. And then we already went through our ungroup to letters and ungroup to lines. Does anybody have questions so far? We're going over a lot, but there's a lot of things in Design Space, so I just want to cover everything for you all. So let's talk about this next line. Right here, this operation function, or this operation drop-down menu, you're going to be using this a lot. So whenever we click down, you can see that in the air is set to a basic cut. Now, if we wanted to draw it, like if we were using Cricut pens or something like that, you can change your operation to the pen function, And you can see right here, it outlines that. So everything that's outlined will be drawn with a Cricut pen or whatever marker you put in there. So that's kind of cool. You can change your text into writing. I can drop this down. We can use it to foil things. So you can do fine, medium, or bold foil. And there are fine, medium, and bold tips for the foiling tool. You can change it to a score function. And you can see here these dotted lines. That means it is set to score. So that's handy if you are needing to make like lines for cards and things like that. And then there's also the print then cut function. So we've been doing a lot. I feel like we've been like really into print and cut lately.
Oh, we've been so into print and cut.
Yes.
So into print and cut.
Yes.
Lindsay said, question, will there be a tutorial on picking 2 cute fonts to use together on a project? I'm terrible at choosing. There already is a video. Is there not a font pairing video?
We have a font pairing video, and then we have a really in-depth one in Maker University that I did.
Yeah, but don't we have one on our channel too?
I think we do. Yeah, it's like which fonts look best together or something. I can't remember the exact title of it, but it's definitely on there. Listen, we've probably got a video for everything, y'all, honestly. Okay, so, and then the last function on the operation drop-down menu is the guide function. So I like to use this when I'm using basic shapes, like if we were doing a door hanger, like a round door hanger, and I drew a circle, just to have a guideline, I can select guide, and this heart will not cut out. So it's just in Design Space as a guideline for me to design within. Does that make sense? I really, really like this feature. It's kind of a new feature. I don't use it all the time, but sometimes it's very handy for me to have. So I'm going to change this back to a basic cut, and we will change the color back. And then let's just keep on trucking. So there are lots of other random features. I really just want to show you all like the ones that you're going to be using all of the time. So there's like these edit features for cut, copy, and delete and duplicate. I use shortcut keys for these. Like if I wanted to copy this love is, I'm going to hit Command C and then Command V. And it's so much faster.
If you're on a PC, it's not Command, it's Control.
Right.
I learned that the hard way because I grew up using PCs like window computers, so I was always Control. Well, on a Mac, you still have Control, so I kept getting Control C and nothing
like,
happened. I was like, why is it not working? So PC, it's Control C for copy, Control V for paste, Control D for delete.
And we have a very in-depth tutorial on that in the 30 Days to Master Your Cricut.
Yes.
I went on every single shortcut command key that I could possibly think of, and we have it in a video for you all. So, and then another one that I use a lot here is Command X. And then if I pasted it back and I wanted to undo something, I can Command Z. I use Command Z like it's my best friend. Like I use Command Z all the time because while I'm designing, I always do stuff and I'm like, I don't like that. Command Z, Command Z. So I wish I had that button like in real life. I could just undo, you know? So anyways, we can keep working our way down. Now, if you make a design and you're like, I want everything to be perfectly centered, we have these align features right here. So let's say that I wanted everything centered horizontally. I'm going to select this, and this is going to make everything perfectly centered. Now, on the air, it looks weird centered, so I'm going to move it back out. But you can see it lines everything up perfectly. Centering vertically, we use a ton, so this centers it all vertically. Now, there's a flip function. This is great for sublimation purposes. I feel like
and really and truly, if you wanted to flip something or mirror it before you sent it to, you can do that on the canvas, but no, like for Design Space, there's a little tab once you go to make it where you can click mirror. But if you wanted to, if you know you're working with HCV, you can go ahead and mirror it here.
Right.
And not have to on the cut setting screen.
Exactly. So if I don't like that, I can Command Z it. I'm going to undo it. And then you can also undo up here. So I can just select this little arrow. Now, I'm going to select everything, and I'm going to show you all how you would set up if I wanted to make this into a sticker. And I'm going to be using this offset. I feel like we use the offset a lot whenever we're designing stickers. So I'm just going to select everything on my image that I want to be included, and then I'm going to flatten my image. So this is like a quick little print then cut tutorial. I have selected everything on my image, the words and the heart. I flattened everything. And now I'm going to add a very slight offset. So it typically comes in at a 0.25 offset, and you can see right here that there's an offset all the way around. I'm gonna shrink that to like 0.15, and then I hit the tab key and it'll adjust it on your canvas. And then you also have this little feature right here that makes your edges sharp. I almost always do round edges. Every once in a while, I'll need a sharp edge offset. And then I don't ever uncheck this. I keep that checked all the time. And then you can hit apply. And so you can see it kind of adds like a border around it. And what I'll do is change it to white for my stickers. And then you just want to make sure that your offset result and your print and then cut layer are flattened together. And then that literally, we just made a sticker. Like I could print this, I would go make it, print it as a print and cut, and it would print and cut as a sticker. So super easy. And we have lots of videos. Lauren did one in boot camp. I've been sharing like cray. I've been sharing that video in our Facebook group like crazy. So, and then you can unflatten, like if you accidentally flatten something, you can unflatten it. Now that we are talking about things you can do and not undo, let's talk about these functions in our layers panel. So I have all of my image selected. I've got my hearts and my text. This little function menu right down here is relatively new. When did this come out? October? November?
Something like that.
Yeah, it's only been a few months. But these are so good. So previously there was just a weld function. Now, whenever I hit weld, first of all, it does that. And it's irreversible. So the weld function will like weld it into one solid shape. It'll make it one color. And then if I go out of Design Space and come back in, I cannot unweld it. But they put in a new function called Unite, which will allow me to unite everything together. So I can go into this combine menu, and you can see right here, there's Unite. Now, it does change it all into one solid image. And like you can see the edges of my text here. This isn't a great image to give an example on.
Yeah.
But you can see that I can select certain layers of the image and move them around if I want to. So even this is in the air, I can move it down here. And then I'm just able to do a lot more this way. Like you can resize your images and stuff like that whenever you use the Unite function. So I really, really like the Unite feature. It's super handy. And then the other ones, if you go combine, I'm going to ununite these because you can undo the Unite right here. If I went out of Design Space and came back in, I would still be able to undo my Unite, which is super handy. So let's show you how to do these other features. So I'm going to select my heart and my letters. I'm going to do the subtract. So you can see here, it takes out the word from the heart. So I'll undo it so you all can see it again. I'm going to select the heart and the words. And you know what?
Make the heart bigger.
I was about to say, I'm going to make the heart bigger. And I'm going to put this love right here. Okay. Select both. Subtract. And so the love is like subtracted over it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And you can actually go in there and move that love around after you subtract it.
That's what's so good about these, because you can still like move stuff around in the layers panel. Like I can still move it around. And you'll have to select it over here in the layers panel, and then you can drag it around to where you want it here. And look how cute. So cute. So I'm going to do this again. Let's do the intersect. So let me scooch it over. It's hard to give you all an example of this. And we did a tutorial on this. It's our 2022 updated Design Space functions. We did a very in-depth of this. So you can see right here with the intersect function that everything that was like the words that were crossing over the heart are showing. So you can see like some of that L was hanging off, so it's not showing.
So why don't you change the background of the canvas to like a gray color so we cannot get confused with the white and of the background and the white of the exclude? You know what I mean?
Yes. So it's still going to show up though. I'll change the color. So if you want to change your canvas, you can hit blank canvas and then hit right here and do a light gray.
Oh, okay.
So
it's
a negative space still, but it's still cutting it out.
So basically, if you can see the canvas, it's going to cut that. If you can see through an image to the canvas that you're working on, the Cricut is going to cut it.
Yes. All of this would be cut out. So don't think about, like, don't overthink it. It's just, if you can see it, it's getting cut. So if you can't see it, it's not going to get cut. So, and then I really like this.
Go back and change it back to white.
Yeah. I really like being able to change my blank canvas. And earlier, like when we added this offset, I'm going to show you all why it's really handy when you're doing an offset with print and cut, especially if you change the background to white. You're going to be able to see exactly where your offset is.
So now, if you were to flatten that offset and that together, go back. If you were to flatten all of those together, you see that gray inside that L.
Yep.
Your Cricut's going to cut that.
Yep. And this little guy right here, it's going to cut.
Yes.
But the white is not going to cut.
No.
So once you guys get in here and play around, and especially if you're doing print and cut, you'll get more used to it.
Yeah.
But
and yes, you can go over to your layers panel, and I think Love is still one layer. You can select that and move it.
Yeah.
And it still moves it where you want it.
Yep. And you can do that with all of the features over here except for weld. You can do it with all 4 of these features. You're going to be able to move your stuff around in the layers panel. So I'm going to change this back to white just because that's what I usually use. And then, so we went through all of these right here. Now let's talk about these other features. So I'm going to undo, exclude. I'm going to make these into their own images now. I want to slice this love into my heart. So I'm just going to delete the is. And so the slice is a feature I love and use all the time. Lauren was saying earlier that she does as well. I'm going to go ahead and change this to like purple or something. What you can do with the slice feature is stack images, just two.
Yeah.
And you can make this bigger or as big or small as you want. Select both images and then slice. This is only going to work with SVGs. You cannot slice into a PNG. And so you'll have this like these leftover layers that you can delete. And then you've just got this solid heart with love cut out of the middle of it.
Now, just so you know, go back 2 steps. Okay, just so you all are aware, the difference with slice and exclude. Exclude basically does the same thing as what the heart with a love out of it does. However, with slice, you still have your 2 extra layers over here, the purple and the pink, that you kind of like cookie slice, cookie cut out of that heart.
Right.
So just keep that in mind. It's the same. You can't move the love around inside the heart, but you still have those other 2 layers that were not deleted.
Yeah. So like with exclude, I can move it. But with slice, it's gone forever. Like it's just permanently on the heart. Like I feel like a slice is like a tattoo.
Yes.
It's permanent. You can't undo it. And then the exclude is like you're in a relationship, but you're not that serious.
Yeah.
Like you can move around.
Yeah. You can move around with that, but you're not that serious. But you know you're getting serious when you get to slice.
Yeah, yeah. So what did Tina ask? So can she move is right now more inside the heart and it adjusts the cutout?
So was what you had. So what you would have had to have done was gone back to the love is and ungrouped it and had is separate from love. It was all one line of text.
Yes. Now I could even add in text, you guys. Like I'm in the exclude function right now and I added in the is. And I can even shrink it so it all fits in here too. Oh. And you've got to use that layers panel. So you can do lots with that feature. I really, really love those. That Cricut put in a lot of good work getting those features good.
Yeah.
So, okay. Next feature, attach. So attach is really good. I'm trying to think of a good project. Okay, if you were designing a doormat. If we wanted to put this on a doormat and we wanted it to cut, like if I got all of these aligned, centered horizontally, and I wanted it to be exactly this design. I didn't want, like, I'm going to go ahead and pull this in here. Hold on. I'm going to show you all exactly what I mean. I'm going to pull this in here, and you can see right now this in the air is just kind of going wherever. If I hit the attach right here, when I come in to make it, it's going to stay exactly where I attached it. So this is really good if you've got a design that you don't want the elements moving around and you want them to stay exactly where they need to be. That's when I'm going to use the attach feature. Now, whenever you attach, the only thing that I don't really like is that if I wanted to do different colors, like if I wanted this to be purple and I select these and attach them, it stayed the same color. I think Design Space updated.
I think Design Space updated
so
too.
Lauren was working on something earlier,
yep.
and it was like multiple words, and she had different colors on her canvas. She attached them, and the letters stayed the same. They like stayed their
the colors that I had in my design. Well,
right.
Used to when you would go to attach, they would change. They would all become the same color. So if in the air was black and I attached it, it would turn pink. It would turn to the most predominant color on the mat. Well, now Design Space must have updated, and now you can attach. They stay the same color, and
which is great. Yeah, we love that for us. So, anyways, if you want them to, basically the attach feature is just if you want your design elements to stay exactly where they're at. Okay, so let's keep on trucking. Let's see, we went over the flatten feature already. Let's go over the contour feature. I'm going to pull in an SVG from Maker's Gonna Learn to do this. Let's just pull in one of these. I'm going to add this to the canvas. Now, this contour function only works with SVGs. I'm going to move this out of the way, and I'm going to open this up really big. So the contour function right here, this is what we use it for. If we did not want, for some reason, this alumni, we can select all of the items that we don't want, even the middle of that A, and then I'm going to X off of this, and you can see it just says Hogwarts, just has the year. So I really like the contour function. We use that a lot for getting rid of elements that we don't want. Now, if I just wanted the lightning bolt, I can hit hide all contours and then select this lightning bolt. I can see that my brooms are still trying to pop up, but I can hit this X and it just gives me the lightning bolt. So you're going to be able to break apart files and just use the part of the file that you want for your design, which is super cool. So Shirley says, I've used contour so many times this past week. I love it. I use contour a lot. Now, if you wanted to have like 3 lightning bolts, there is a duplicate function right up here. You can hit Command D to do this, or you can just select these, and then you're going to have multiples of an image. Now you can see they both go on their own layers. If I wanted to group these together, I can select this right here, and there's a group button that is right here, and now they're going to be in their own little group. So instead of me having to select each one, they're already in a solid group together, and I can even just select the group from the layers panel too.
But keep in mind, group and attach are still different.
Yes.
Group will just group them together on your canvas, but they will not group them together when you go to make it on the mat. They're still going to kind of separate themselves everywhere.
I'll show you. So I just ungrouped them so they're back on their own layers. If I wanted them like this, and if I wanted them in that formation, and I grouped them, and I go to make it, first of all, they're gigantic. Let's go back. I'm going to shrink these out a little bit. So say I wanted them in this formation, and I go to make it, they're just going to pull in right in a row. So I would have to like readjust my placement. If I wanted to keep them exactly in this formation, I would select them all and attach them, and then when we go to make it, they're going to stay in that exact formation. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
cool. Any questions?
Tina asked a question about contour. So you can only contour if your functionality on the top right-hand corner is on, so bring that in because I think you have that flattened.
Yes, it is. This is a print and cut image.
So that is currently a print and cut image or a PNG. If you look down there in the bottom right, the contour feature is not there. However, if you go up to your basic functions and you click cut, then you click on that again, you can contour it out. Is it on cut?
It's on one, it's only a 1 layer image.
Okay.
So it's not gonna allow me to do it. But if you want to use the contour function, you have to have multiple like layers to your image, and it has to be set to basic cut.
You shouldn't. Not multiple layers.
Okay. So what should I do then?
I don't know that you had it on basic cut.
I did. It is. Here, let's go back to the canvas. Hold on a second. Let me go back. That's why it changed to black. It's on basic cut.
Just go to cut. At the very top.
It doesn't.
Oh.
It's just like, it's like cut is the menu, basic is the sub menu, and then there's draw and then pin, foil, and score like the sub menu.
Well, normally it does let you contour. I don't know why it's not.
Well, and we've put a little.
Oh, because it's just because it is 2 layers. Because that love is, you can still click it over there.
Let me see.
And you can move it around.
Oh, okay.
So now if you made them, if you welded that together.
Okay, let's try.
You have to undo it and then weld. Well, you wouldn't weld, it would be slice.
Okay. So you want me to slice these 2 images? Okay.
Now move the love is, move both, and then you can contour that right there.
Yeah.
You can contour 1 layer image.
So if we didn't want the heart, we could click the heart, and then when we X off of this, we would be left with the love is.
So I think that answered Tina's question, and I hope that doesn't confuse you guys. If you use the unite, the exclude, the combine, or the, what's the other one?
Unite, exclude, combine, subtract.
Subtract. If you use one of those 4 functions and it looks like you've turned it into a basic cut and it still looks like a 1 layer image that you can contour, just know that it's still 2 layers on top of each other and you can't contour that out.
Right. So, and I think that like you can get really like intricate with those tools also, so don't let it like scare you. We just use it all the time, you guys. So anyway, so that's all of that little area. Now we can use a little trash can if we want to delete anything. Like if we don't want that, we don't want this, we can delete it. You can even select over here and then delete it. I had 2 layers there. So that's a great little function. Let's change the colors of these. I'm going to show you all how to use the color sync panel. So let's just change those to yellow, and this is in purple. Now, this color sync right here, if we select it, you can see all of our yellows are under this hex code and all of our purples are under this hex code. I want my love is to be yellow. So what I'm going to do is select it. I'm going to drag it right underneath that yellow, and you can see on my canvas, it's going to change it to that color. So that is pretty cool, very handy, especially if you're wanting everything to cut from the same like piece of vinyl or something like that. So there's that. And then I didn't show you guys how to size and rotate up here. I can show you how to do that really quick. So we were talking about resizing the heart and like, or resizing the circle and like unlocking it and stuff, but you all can also manually put this in. So if you needed the love is to be 7 inches wide, you can type it in and it will proportionally adjust the height. I do not recommend unlocking your fonts to resize them. So if I put in like 8.5, it makes my words look wonky. Can y'all see how it does that? It kind of like stretches them. That does not look good. That's like Lauren knows. I don't want you to do that.
No,
don't unlock your text.
Don't unlock text.
Just let it be a rule of thumb. Don't unlock your text. But yeah, so you can resize there. You can rotate manually. I can type in like 90 and it'll rotate it at a 90 degrees. Really like that. And then you can also use, I don't use this position function as much. Do you ever use that, Lauren?
What?
This position, X and Y axis, I don't.
I do when I'm making patterns.
Yes, like if you're wanting to do something super precise, you might use it, but generally we don't really do that. After you got your design completed, let's just attach all of this. You could go to make it, And then it'll pull you over into this Make It screen. And I've still got my print then cut, my in the air print then cut over here. But if we were just wanting to cut this, you can adjust your material type. So you can cut on mat, without mat. The only time you're going to be cutting without a mat is if you're using smart vinyl. We do not use smart vinyl here at Maker's Gonna Learn. We have before, but we don't prefer it. If that's what you like to use, lots of people do like it. That's totally fine. But we typically just keep it on mat. And then you can see right here, there are lots of different sizes of material. I normally keep mine on 12 by 12 unless I am doing a print then cut like this one up here. There's A4 paper and then letter paper. I'll adjust it here typically just to make sure that it reads correctly. But if I'm just cutting vinyl, I normally keep it on 12 by 12. And if my sheet of vinyl is only 9 by 9, I'll just make sure that my design is within those parameters. Does that make sense? And then if we're using regular vinyl, we would just go continue. If you're using heat transfer vinyl, this is where you can mirror your image. So you'll probably do a lot of tutorials with us where we're like, mirror your image. This is where you're gonna do that. And then you would just select continue and it'll connect to your machine. And then you've got all of these base materials. Now this is where you can go through and find exactly what you're working with. Like if we're doing, excuse me, everyday iron-on is what we use for heat transfer vinyl. And you can bookmark these too. So they're like good to go. And then it'll tell you, make sure your mirror's turned on and blah, 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 blah. All of this, always follow your prompts in Design Space. It's gonna tell you exactly what you need to do. And then if for some reason it didn't cut, you can go into Browse All Materials and then material settings right here on the bottom left. And then this is where you can adjust your pressure. Y'all, I had my machine, I don't know what happened. It stopped cutting HTV. Do you remember that a few months ago? It stopped cutting HTV like altogether. I thought it was like the brands. I changed the brands and all that. Finally called Cricut customer service and they showed me how to adjust my pressure. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is a game changer. So whenever we started cutting tech wrap, we realized that you couldn't just cut the tech wrap brand of vinyl on like a basic vinyl setting. We had to make our own setting. So like everyday iron-on right here, if I wanted to add more pressure to this, I can hit edit and you can slide this up and down for more or less pressure. I feel like this is like a little sneaky tool to have in your back pocket. And then you can even add how many passes you want. Like if you wanted it to pass through 2 times like it would on glitter iron-on or something like that. And then it usually just lets me have this fine point blade depending on what cut setting I've already got. Like if you already have this like EVA foam, the deep point blade is typically what you're gonna have. And then you can save it. I didn't change anything, so I'll just hit cancel. And then it'll adjust your cut settings.
And then I was just gonna show them how to add. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom.
Yes.
You can add your own custom ones there. So you would name it.
Cut setting. Save.
And then it would take it wherever and then you adjust it. So like for tech wrap, you would name it tech wrap, adjust it to like 185, I think is where it is, and then save it.
Yeah. And then pretty cool. I love that. You can go ahead and go through here and this is where you're gonna start cutting your materials. So I'm gonna go ahead and cancel out of all of this. Do you all have any questions? We went through everything generally that we use and do, I feel like. If I wanted to save this project, I can come up here to the top right and hit save, just like that. It'll save as whatever you've already got it saved at, or if you want to change the name, you can hit save as. And I'm gonna save this as lightning bolts, but I can save this into collections, and I keep my projects under Alicia's projects. It just helps me stay organized, but you could totally do like sticker projects, I don't know, just you can organize it into whatever categories you want. If you wanted to make a new collection, you can do that here. And then you're gonna hit save. And that's it.
How to save fonts and cut files you've downloaded to your computer. Fonts and cut files that you've downloaded from Maker's Gonna Learn are already on your computer.
Yes,
you would just take it from your downloads file onto if you have an external thumb drive and move it to the external thumb drive.
Right.
And that's going to be on a Mac or a PC. So this is like your Finder section. What she has on the screen right now is like your Finder section. And you'll go to downloads, and then if you have the cut files, let's just say the last cut file you downloaded, you'll grab it, and then over there on the right, if you had an external thumb drive, it would be,
Pop it in.
excuse me, closer to the bottom.
Yeah.
And you would just drop it in there.
Right. And then if you're ever looking for your fonts, if you want to see what all fonts that you have downloaded, you can go to your font
Shirley
book.
said something about the Z drive. Macs don't have a Z drive.
Oh, yeah, I don't think they do.
Or it's a C drive or something, I don't know.
We're not computer people. We're not super computer people. But okay, this is your font book. So if you're like, what fonts have I downloaded? You can come here and do all that. And oh, before we leave, I want to show you all this in Design Space. Excuse me. You can favorite your fonts. So if you really like this Affection font, you can come up here and you can like bookmark your font, and then you have a bookmarked section here. So all of your favorite fonts are going to be ready for you to go. You can see I favorited Moonlight because it's beautiful. And also you have like your recent fonts that you've used. So that's super handy too. Okay. I'm coming over.
Sounds
I'm coming
good.
over. I think that was everything. Hopefully we didn't forget something. I feel like we went into pretty good detail.